Bucks want Anfernee Simons from the Celtics? Surprising trade offer. If you're a Bucks or Celtics fan, you know how frustrating it is to see the team hit the post every year. There's a lack of creation on the perimeter, there's a lack of someone to decide, and the feeling that the board isn't making the right move at the right time. Today we're going to talk about the possible proposal by Anfernee Simons, and I'm going to show you whether this exchange is precisely the solution that can change the franchise's level or just another trap that throws our title window into the trash. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes you'll know exactly if it's worth betting everything on this guy. Before we delve deeper into this possible exchange, do the following. Subscribe to the channel, because here we always exchange ideas about these behind-the-scenes things that the traditional media hardly talks about. Leave a like, because this shows YouTube that you like this type of content and it gives you more NBA videos instead of anything random. And of course, activate the bell so you don't miss out when analysis of other possible trades and Bucks and Celtics games comes out. Now, let's go to the video, because I'm going to show you step by step whether this proposal by Simons makes sense or is completely flawed. Let's imagine that we are talking after an NBA round, you with your cell phone in your hand, seeing trade rumors on every profile, and suddenly this idea appears. Bucks going after Anfernee Simons, who is now on the Celtics. The first reaction is almost automatic. What do you mean? Boston just got the guy. Why would they trade? And why would Milwaukee bet on him now? It's exactly this type of scenario that messes with the heads of those who like to analyze the league a little beyond the score. It all starts with the point that completely changes the course of the Celtics season, Jason Tatum's injury. When a player of that size tears his Achilles tendon, he's not the only one who's out. It's an entire project that needs to be reevaluated. The franchise that enters every year thinking about a title finds itself forced to look in the mirror and ask, is it worth insisting, spending even more, forcing changes? Or is it smarter to turn this season into a kind of year of transition? Boston chooses the most rational path, no matter how painful it is for the fans. Instead of pretending that nothing happened, the board assumes that this will not be the ideal year, at least not in the way it was planned, and starts to treat the season as an opportunity to organize the finances, shake up the squad, and prepare the ground for the future. In this context, the boldest moves begin. Expensive players being traded, cold decisions made based on cap and squad projection, not just the emotion of the moment. Kristaps Porzingis is one of the first to leave. Then it's Drew Holiday's turn, an important, experienced player, but with a heavy financial impact. The trade involving Drew is precisely the one that takes Anfernee Simons to Boston, and it is at this point that the conversation gains another layer. Simons does not arrive as a simple compliment. He is a point guard with offensive talent, creation, and scoring ability, someone who can hold important minutes, but who also carries a key element in this story, a contract that is coming to an end. This, in a team that is thinking about reorganizing its financial life, is not a detail. It's almost a central point. An expiring contract can be viewed in two ways. Either you bet on the player, renew and incorporate him once and for all as part of the project, or you use him as an exchange asset to get something that makes even more sense within the medium and long-term plan. And this is where the name of another franchise appears strongly in the conversation, the Milwaukee Bucks. When we look at Milwaukee, the situation is very different from that in Boston. The Bucks are not in a gap year. They are not thinking about calmly reorganizing anything. They live in the this is now phase. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo at his peak, one of the best players in the world, and you simply can't waste seasons with squads that always seem to be missing a detail. It's a team that comes under pressure, that knows that any year without, at the very least, truly fighting for the title is seen as a waste. If you follow the games, you can notice something that has been bothering you for some time. There is a lack, at times, of a more consistent creation on the perimeter, someone who can alleviate the weight that falls on Giannis and make the attack work more fluidly when the opposing defense closes the box. In this scenario, the figure of a point guard like Anfernee Simons becomes very attractive. He is the type of player who can generate his own shot, score with volume, shoot from outside, and take advantage of the spaces that open up when Giannis attracts the attention of the entire defense. But the NBA isn't a video game, where you swap player for player by pressing a button. To get Simons, the Bucks have to give up something. It is at this point that the name of Kyle Kuzma as the centerpiece of a possible proposal. He is a well-known player, with experience, with solid numbers, and who, despite criticism, arouses interest in several teams due to his ability to score and his experience in big scenarios. The trade idea circulates something like this. Milwaukee receives Anfernee Simons, Boston receives Kyle Kuzma, and a 2026 second-round pick, protected 31-55 via Utah. At first glance, it may seem like a change that is too simple for the weight of the names involved, even unbalanced, especially if you just look at Simons' brilliance. But when we start to include issues such as contract, age, franchise date, and financial situation in the account, the proposal begins to take on another meaning. On the Celtics side, Kuzma brings some things that match the team's moment. The first of these is experience. He has more than 400 games as a starter in the NBA. He has already been a champion. He has shared the court with great players. He has played in decisive games. That alone has value on a roster that doesn't want to simply trash a season while waiting for Tatum to return. Furthermore, Kuzma is a player who can score in different ways. He's not just a three-point shooter sitting in the corner. He attacks the basket, finishes from medium distance, can create a little off the dribble, and has had seasons in which he has surpassed the 20 points per game mark. He's not perfect, of course. The shot selection is sometimes questionable and the defense fluctuates. But precisely because he is not the main star of the squad, he can work much better as a complementary piece, someone who fulfills the role of adding volume to the attack without being the center of attention. Another important point is the contract. Kuzma still has one more year guaranteed after this season, which gives the Celtics greater security in terms of planning. It's not a piece they have to immediately decide whether to renew or lose for free. And in addition, the exchange helps Boston to alleviate the payroll. The difference between Simons' contract and Kuzma's represents a relevant saving, around $5.3 million, in addition to the opportunity to stay below the first tax apron. In a league with increasingly strict rules for teams that exceed the limits, this changes a lot when it comes to assembling and adjusting the squad. If we look carefully, we realize that the Celtics board has been making decisions with the financial part very much in mind. While trying to keep the team competitive, she needs to avoid being trapped in contracts that limit her future movements too much. Exchanging an expiring contract for a player who is still productive, with another year on his contract and with a smaller financial impact, could be a choice that is very consistent with this strategy. On the other hand, it's worth looking at what the Bucks are really putting at stake by giving up Kuzma. He's a useful player with scoring ability and experience, but for Milwaukee, the question goes beyond what he delivers individually. The question is he, today, the type of player who changes the team's level in the postseason? Does it help to actually alleviate the pressure on Giannis and make the attack more dangerous against elite defenses? If the answer is not completely, it makes sense to consider exchanging for someone with a different profile. That's where Anfernee Simons comes into the equation once and for all. Even with numbers below what he has shown in other seasons, he remains a young player, just 26 years old, and with an offensive arsenal that attracts attention. He creates shots in one-on-one situations, shoots well from the outside, has good vertical explosiveness, and can punish defenses that retreat too far. In a context with Giannis attracting double-triple marking, closing the box, Simons would have a lot of space to act as a scorer and creator on the perimeter, something that makes a difference in playoffs when the game slows down and each possession requires creativity. The risk for Milwaukee is relatively well calculated. If Simons fits in, adapts well to the system, and proves reliable in big moments, the franchise can go into a contract renewal with the feeling of investing in a piece that really raises the team's ceiling. If, on the other hand, the fit doesn't happen, the fact that it's an expiring contract allows the Bucks to move on without being tied down to a heavy financial decision. They wouldn't need to sacrifice a large package of picks, as they don't have as much draft capital available and could continue adjusting the roster in other ways. When we put all of this within the context of the Eastern Conference, the discussion becomes even more interesting. Tatum's injury, the situation of other key players, some surprises at the top of the table. Suddenly, the East looks more open than anticipated. Instead of a conference with one or two isolated big favorites, we have a scenario where a good sequence or a well-placed exchange can change the hierarchy quickly. For the Bucks, this means something very clear. Maybe this is exactly the time to be aggressive. Instead of waiting for the perfect year, the idea may be to find an advantage in an environment of uncertainty. If the conference is more unpredictable, a well-thought-out move could put Milwaukee a step above its competitors. It's the kind of calculation that teams with superstars often make. You can't count on an infinite window of physical and technical peak. Every season matters. On Boston's side, the stance is different, but it also has its logic. They are not giving up on competing, but they understand that without Tatum, their real chances of winning the title decrease. Then the question changes tone. Instead of, what can we do to be champions now? It becomes, how to get through this season without compromising the future, and if possible, remain competitive? At this point, a trade that brings Kuzma, alleviates the cap, and keeps the team at a decent level of talent can be seen as a balanced solution. Basically, this possible negotiation reveals a lot about what the NBA is today. It's no longer just a matter of bringing together the best players possible. It's a complex game of talent, age, contracts, salary cap rules, and long-term vision. An athlete is not only evaluated by what they produce on the court, but also by what they represent on the payroll, by the flexibility they offer or take away, and by how they fit in with the pieces already present in the squad. To think of Anfernee Simons wearing a Bucks jersey is to imagine a more dangerous team on the perimeter, with an extra creator to relieve Giannis. Thinking about Kyle Kuzma on the Celtics is imagining a team going through a difficult year with someone capable of helping the offense while also gaining room to maneuver financially. In the end, more than choosing who is better, the debate is about understanding which player makes the most sense in which context. Simons could be exactly the type of risk a team like Milwaukee needs to take to try and take the next step. Kuzma could be exactly the kind of practical solution a team like Boston needs to balance performance and planning. And that's what makes this conversation so interesting. It goes beyond the numbers and gets into the essence of what it means to build a competitive squad in an increasingly strategic league. So at the end of the day, this potential trade isn't just about sending Anfernee Simons to Milwaukee and bringing Kyle Kuzma to Boston. It's about identity, courage, and momentum. Will the Celtics choose the path of smart reorganization, or will they hold on to an expiring contract at the risk of losing value? Will the Bucks have the audacity to bet on a point guard who can change the level of the attack alongside Giannis, or will they be stuck with almost once again? The truth is that if this negotiation happens, it could directly change the balance of power in the East. One accurate move now could be the difference between watching the finals on television or being in them fighting point to point. And that's why, when we talk about Simons, Kuzma, Celtics, and Bucks, we're not just talking about numbers. We're talking about decisions that define the future of entire franchises. And if you want to continue diving deep into this type of analysis, understanding every detail of Boston's movements, the impact of injuries, changes, and board decisions, do the following. As soon as this video ends, go straight to the Celtics analysis playlist that I left in the comment pinned here below. There I delve into all of this with other videos, other situations, other possible exchanges and scenarios that could completely transform the direction of the franchise. Don't waste time. Go down to the comments, click on the Celtics analysis playlist in the pinned comment, and continue with me on this journey to understand, step by step, the future of the Boston Celtics. Because if this Anfernee Simons novel actually moves forward, you'll want to say, I already knew what was at stake.